It seems that something's gotten lost in translation around here lately, so I have said recently I've got a renewed sense of optimism. I don't think the sport of college football is about to train headlong off the nearest cliff, but something, somewhere along the way, got misconstrued because someone somewhere took me as saying, I fully trust these people. I don't. I don't trust these people, as Meemaw would say, any further than I can throw them, and I got a hurt shoulder right now, so it's not very far. Guys, when I talk about optimism, I'm choosing to be optimistic, and I think that things are so dire behind the scenes that even some folks who otherwise would readily screw this sport up are going to have no choice but to get certain aspects of the sport in working order. And that's a long-winded way of saying I think things are going to be okay, big picture. That brings us to today. Today, I am perusing about the internet this morning, and our buddy, Ross Dellinger, over there at Yahoo Sports, he puts out a report, and I'm not going to bore you with the details, not that it was a boring report, but you can go read it if you want to. I'm not going to bore you with the particulars. There was a bunch of stuff happening today with a bunch of conference commissioners and league officials, and they're trying to figure out which way is up, and north, south, east, west, what's the financial situation going to look like, how are we going to do the playoff, all that stuff. And nothing got figured out today, so long and short of it is stay tuned on that. However, that doesn't mean nothing got shared. And I hate to say I told you so, because I end up saying it too much when it comes to matters of the college football playoff, but they're kind of finally saying the quiet part out loud. They're saying the part that some of us around here said was coming all along out loud. They're not done expanding the college football playoff. You may have thought to yourself, well, at 4 right now, shouldn't we go to 6? Shouldn't we go to 8? Nope, we're going to skip over those. We're going to go to 12. 12, seems like a lot of teams, but okay, well, at least we finally gotten to 12. You hadn't finally gotten anywhere. You're just at a rest stop right now. These people are not stopping at 12. I told you they're not stopping at 12, but don't take my word for it. I'm just some guy in Nashville behind the microphone. Let's go to the report. Ross Dellinger, with real human beings making decisions about the future of this sport on the record. Quote, while serious discussions about expanding the 12-team playoff format have not arisen inside the college football playoff meetings, many believe it eventually will. Tony Pate, that's the new Big Ten commissioner. Tony Pate has privately discussed with commissioners expansion models that include 14 and 16 teams with multiple automatic qualifiers to major conferences, sources told Yahoo Sports. We continue. Mike Oresco, who's the president and commissioner of the AAC, who is set to retire this summer, says that a move to a 16-team playoff could very well be in the future, and that such a tournament would probably be under a 5+11 format with 5 auto bids to league champs and 11 at-large spots. Quote, the truth is, if you went to 16, you're not going to fundamentally change the playoff, he said. It's about growth, isn't it? It's all about growth. Every time I push back on this, I get told, Josh, how could you say no to more money? There's more money being pumped in. And that's apparently the only metric we need to go by these days. You don't need to look at passion. You don't need to look at the vibrance of the game. You don't need to look at how valuable a Saturday in early November is. Nope. That's such antiquated, casual thinking. No, the big brains have walked in the room, and they're here to tell you that growth in college football and college athletics boils down to one metric and one metric only. And that's the bottom line on that P&L sheet. And if you're making more money, then that means your sport is growing. You might say to yourself, too little too late, JP. Should have said this a little while ago. Colin, cue it up. We did. Let's go to July of 2022. The more I hear people tell me about how much money these changes in college football are going to make, the more I want to walk out this door and jump out the window. I don't care. I'm going to tell you, I don't care about how much more money these media rights deals are going to bring conferences. I don't care, and my humble opinion is you should not care. Not only are you not going to see a dime of that money, not only are your ticket prices and parking and concessions and everything still going to go up magically, no matter how many hundreds of millions more dollars in the coffers, not only will these moves choke off a large portion of the underbelly of the sport, and I don't mean that pejoratively, not only is all that true,
But also think about this. Could I suggest to you that growth and financial increase are not necessarily tied at the hip here? You can add money and not necessarily be growing the sport.
We should probably loop the last part, Colin, because that would be breaking news to a majority of the folks gathered in that room this week. You can grow financially and not grow your sport. Your sport could become less healthy as you become more profitable. Can you believe that? What kind of crazy talk is that? Well, hey, let me hit you with a real world example. This show, thanks to the fact that I got the best staff in America and maybe even the world, this show is the most consumed college football show in all of digital media today. Again, a very blessed position. Let's say someone approached me tomorrow morning on the streets of downtown Nashville and said, Josh, I will give you $100 million per year. Distribute it amongst your staff however you want to. There's just one caveat. You have to talk exclusively about Canadian football from here on out. It's nothing but CFL wall to wall. And I take the money and I come on air Thursday and I say, great news, guys. We're making 9 figs. We're in the 9-figure club now. Now the show's going to be about the CFL, but we're growing. The show is growing. Never mind the fact that I'm never going to discuss again what brought you to the table, and I'm not going to give you anything you come here seeking anymore, but don't worry, because I'm making money that you'll never get a dime of, therefore the show's growing, right? You would look and you would say, delete, unsub, and you'd be gone, as you should. If I'm talking Grey Cup, if I'm talking Winnipeg Blue Bombers, you might as well not tune in. It's not what you came here for. And so I've got a group of people right now who are in charge of a sport that they may or may not love. And if they do love it, they may be loving it to death, quite literally. And they're saying, hey, 12 playoff spots, 16 playoff spots. Who cares what we do to the regular season, because we don't make as much money off of that as we do an 8 versus a 9 in the middle of January. This is why a lot of us who were anti-playoff expansion were so adamant in the beginning. It's the nature of a slippery slope. I was listening to James Franklin talk about it earlier today. The thing about a slippery slope is you don't test it out. You don't get to take a few steps down and say, I don't like this. All right, pull me back. There is no rope around the waist of our sport right now, and it's already on the slope. You went there, and you allow these people to have the hands on the wheel, and so they've gotten down the slope, and they love it, by the way. They don't care what's at the bottom. They're not going to suffer anyway. Frankly, a lot of these folks could just go work in the front office of another major sport. They could ruin that one, too. So I may sound a little juvenile right now, may sound a little too idealistic. It's just that I happen to love college football, and I don't necessarily mind if we leave a little money on the table for the greater good of the game. I grew up in the South. One of the things the South gets wrong that some of the places in the Big Ten gets right is there is signage in every stadium in the South. And by signage, I mean every available spot in major stadiums in the South, there is going to be advertising. There are a few exceptions, but by and large, that's the rule in the South. I go to Notre Dame, hardly any. I go to Michigan, hardly any. Those folks have decided a long time ago that for the betterment of a pristine in-stadium aesthetic, we are going to leave advertising dollars on the table. Why? Not because we hate money, but because there's a certain line in the sand here, and once we cross it, we devalue ourselves even as our bank account gets bigger. I really wish that attitude existed in the greater realm of college athletics, but it is sorely lacking right now. What can I do? I don't know, but I'm going to talk about it.